Oh, name it down. Okay. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of
The
the United States of America,
Republic
and to the republic which stands one nation under God,
liberty,
indivisible, and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
I will now call the roll for calling of the members. Council Naomi Zabit,
Present.
Councilor Judith Garcia,
Present.
Councilor Todd Taylor,
Here.
Councilor Giovanni Recupero, Councilor Leo Robinson,
Here.
Councilor Calvin Brown,
Present.
Councilor Damali Vido, Councilor Melinda Maldonado,
Here.
Councilor Yamir Rodriguez,
Here.
Councilor Roy Avellaneda present, Councilor Enyo Lopez.
Here.
10 present, one absence.
Who's absent?
Damali.
No, she's
Oh,
present.
she is? I'm sorry.
Is Giovanni here?
Yes, he is.
Nervous about.
Okay. Our first matter of the meeting is public speaking. We did have a communication sent to the city council. The communication is from the Chelsea Anti-Displacement Roundtable, is made up of the Green Roots, Chelsea Collaborative, the Neighborhood Developers, CAPIC, MGH Center for Community Health Improvement, Greater Boston Legal Services, City Life, and also known as Vida Urbana. Dear Chelsea City members, as residents and community leaders in Chelsea, we are inspired by the city's pandemic response effort and are proud of the way our community has come together. The way in which we are collectively addressing the crisis of hunger is impressive. The city, nonprofits, and hundreds of volunteer residents with critical support from the state are making a huge difference in the day-to-day well-being of Chelsea residents. There is another crisis related to the pandemic that now needs the same level of attention, the crisis of housing. The governor recently signed a moratorium on evictions, but it only offers a temporary reprieve. Accrued rent will be due when the moratorium is lifted. For families who were already struggling to make ends meet and who are now
I can't hear you, Roy.
Just lost sound.
Can anyone hear Roy?
No, no.
Okay.
I don't
No,
think
we're
anybody can.
experiencing technical difficulties right now. Hang tight.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Green light was on. While action from the state and federal government will be key in addressing the full scale of the problem, Chelsea has proven once again that local action matters. That the City of Chelsea's Planning Department, the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and the Community Preservation Committee have developed a plan to help low-income Chelsea residents affected by COVID-19 pay their rent. This program has already gotten positive attention statewide, but the Chelsea City Council needs to approve the release of the funds as recommended by the Community Preservation Committee. This program is specifically designed to serve the most vulnerable populations in our community. The lottery system will prioritize veterans, elders, families with children under 18 years old, low-income families, and those residents who do not qualify for other types of assistance. You have with the CPC proposal the opportunity to make significant difference in the crisis of displacement in Chelsea. We urge you to vote to release the funds that the Community Preservation Committee has approved. This program will not solve the crisis single-handedly, but will support hundreds of our residents in staying housed while we continue to advocate for the support at the state and federal level. Please step up now and help the city's residents who are shouldering so much of the regional burden of this pandemic. Stay housed and continue to call Chelsea home. Sincerely, Roseanne Bongiovanni, Executive Director of Green Roots, Gladys Vega, Executive Director of the Chelsea Collaborative, Rafael Maris, Executive Director of the Neighborhood Developers, Leslie Aldrich, Executive Director, MGH Center for Community Health Improvement, Rochelle M. Cromwell, Executive Director, CAPIC, Joseph Mischakis, Staff Attorney, Greater Boston Legal Services, Lisa Owens, Executive Director, City Life, Vida Urbana. That is the only communication we have. Moving on, we have a communication from the city manager pertaining to the emergency action of the COVID-19 public health crisis. In summary, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but in summary, is a request for $1.5 million. This funding request will cover the related costs through the end of May. The majority of these funds will be utilized for food distribution effort being supported in Chelsea by the National Guard. The other large portion of the cost related to the continued operation of the Quality Inn Hotel in Revere to provide alternative housing for those COVID-19 positive who cannot isolate in their existing housing unit. Each of the members were afforded a communication, a copy of this. If they have any other further questions, you feel free to ask the city manager. We have another communication from the Community Preservation Board. The Community Preservation Committee is pleased to send the City Council a recommendation for the grant from the Community Preservation Fund. The request is that at its April 1st, 2020 meeting, the Community Preservation Committee recommended by a vote of 8-0 approval of an application from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board to be transferred $1.250 million in emergency housing assistance. This program is allowable under the Community Preservation Act as support for community housing. The program is being funded by this grant will provide direct rental assistance to Chelsea households making less than 50% of the median income. The order has been sent to us and is attached as part of our communications or orders in new business. I'll now be going on to new business. We have an order introduced by Councilor Avellaneda regarding the emergency appropriation of funds in the amount of $1,576,650 from free cash to the Health and Human Services Department, account number 0151052 538201 COVID-19 Emergency Services Fund for food, hygiene supplies, and other emergency expenditures to respond to COVID-19 crisis. Is there a motion on the floor? Counselor Robinson makes a motion to adopt on a roll call vote. At this time, is there any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call a roll call.
He's not
Counselor Naomi Zabit,
Yes.
happy. Fine.
Counselor Judith Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Todd Taylor,
Yes.
Counselor Giovanni Recupero, Counselor Leo Robinson,
Yes.
Counselor Calvin Brown,
Yes.
Counselor Damali Vido, Counselor Melinda Vega,
Yes.
Counselor Yamir Rodriguez,
Yes.
Counselor Roy Avellaneda votes yes. Counselor Enyon Lopez,
Yes.
motion is passed. 11 in favor, 0. The next order is also presented by Councilor Roy Avellaneda. Ordered that the City Council act on a report of the Community Preservation Committee on the awarding of grant funding for FY 2020 Community Preservation Project in accordance with MGL Chapter 44B, Section 5, Subparagraph 3, Subparagraph D, and in accordance with the revised Code of Ordinances of the City of Chelsea, Chapter 2, Article 7, Division 3, Section 2-330. That the council appropriate the following as recommended by the Community Preservation Committee. $288,823 from the Community Housing Reserve for Project CP 20-3, Emergency Rental Assistance. Line number 2, $575,132 from the Budget Reserve for the Project CP 2003, Emergency Rental Assistance. Line 3, $386.45 from the Community Preservation Fund for Project CP 20-03. Is there a motion on the floor?
Motion for a roll call vote on the order.
Councilor Robinson moves for a roll call. I will now call a roll.
If I can have a couple words before we do the roll call.
The chair recognizes Councilor Robinson.
I know that a lot of us had a lot of questions in regards to how this money was going to be dispersed. And I talked to some of my colleagues and also spent a lot of time with Alex over this. It'll work as a direct grant, either for 3 months rent or up to $5,000, whichever is less. There'll also be resources available for counseling, including education, tenants' rights, food assistance, home heating assistance, and social services. And the income will be based on being below 50% the AMI used by HUD guidelines. Priorities to households that have been impacted by the virus, and a tracking system to denote applicants from multiple addresses warranting follow-up applications from same landlords, property owners, or applicants, and consistencies requiring investigations. The grant agreement spells out monthly rent owed for entire apartment and portion of the monthly rent owed by the applicant. All parties and landlords, subleases, applicants, city and city contractor, if applicable, grant agreements and recipients' addresses will be inputted into the department's community preservation grant tracking system to monitor for compliance for the grant. And it will be a lottery, and the preference will be families with children, disabled residents, veterans, and seniors over 65, and households who have been economically impacted by the virus. and those are below 30% of the HUD mean. So with that, I would ask for a roll call vote on the matter.
Mr. President, can I speak on the matter?
Chair recognizes Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank my colleagues for being here on this very important matter we have before us tonight. Again, like Councilor Robinson stated, I've also reached out to some of my colleagues just to make them aware of this important vote and what this vote will not only mean for us as leaders and councilors here in the city of Chelsea, but also what it would mean for the folks that's been so burdened and so stressed on this COVID-19 here in Chelsea. Not only are families looking to be with this COVID-19 to be potentially displaced by some of the highest unemployment rates in the Commonwealth in this area here. But we're also thinking about our neighbors and, you know, neighbors and friends that we have been friends and neighbors to for years. And I don't believe with my conversations to my fellow councilors that any one of us would want to see anyone thrown out on the streets in the circumstances and the pandemic that we're dealing with here. I had some concerns about the way this money would be used and how this money would be used. Obviously, the biggest concern is that it was not abused, that it potentially and gratefully got into the hands of those that really, really, really need this money to help them to take that burden, that load of stress, not only of being evicted, but also thinking about in the next few months, will I have a job? You know, we know a lot of our friends and colleagues and family members here in the city. They're mom and pop store owners, they're barbershop and hair salon owners, they're restaurant owners, and a lot of them don't benefit for this money that the stimulus package gave out to a lot of corporations and a lot of business people. And I think, you know, this is a fair process, what we've talked to amongst the Chelsea CPA and Affordable Housing Trust Fund. We want to make sure that this money is not misused, that it actually helps those that so desperately are in need of it. And this proposal will go out and do a lot. Yes, there's going to be a lot of folks that still going to need the money that we don't have. But I think this money that we are approving tonight and appropriating tonight will go a long way of helping our community and also showing people in Chelsea that we care about those that really have hard times upon them at these times of this COVID-19. Thank you, Mr. President.
Anyone else that'd like to speak? Seeing none, a roll will now be called. A vote in the affirmative would approve the transfer of CPA funds to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund for the rental assistance program. Councilor Naomi Zabit.
Yes.
Councilor Judith Garcia. Councilor Todd Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Giovanni Recupero. Councilor Leo Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Calvin Brown.
Yes.
Councilor Damali Vido. Councilor Melinda Maldonado Vega. Councilor Yamir Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilor Roy Avellaneda, yes. Councilor Enyo Lopez.
Yes.
Councilor Damali Vidal, if you did not hear her, she just chatted yes.
Got it.
She'd like to be recorded.
Okay. The next order is a order submitted by Councilor Roy Avellaneda.
Mr.
Orders
President.
that a special subcommittee be created to discuss, report back, and suggest to the city council as a whole a COVID-19 economic stimulus package to assist Chelsea-based businesses to reopen after the state-ordered non-essential business shutdown is lifted. City councilors appointed to the special subcommittee are Council President Roy Avellaneda, Vice President Judith Garcia, Councilor at Large Leo Robinson, District Councilor Todd Taylor, and District Councilor Calvin Brown. Is there a motion?
Make adoption on the roll call vote for the motion.
The chair recognizes Councilor Calvin Brown. He has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, this is another very important discussion that we're having. I want to be grateful and thankful for bringing the subcommittee together and putting it together to look forward to not only when this COVID-19 is over, but prior to it being over, seeing what we can do to work with businesses and banks in this community to offer them some resource, some type of support to help those businesses that I named earlier, the mom and dad pop stores, the barber shops, the hair salons, the nail salons, the restaurants, the small restaurants. I think a lot of folks will need to just have someone to talk to help them through a process of applying for loans. And I know we have some great folks here in the banks and other industries here. And I look forward to being very active in this subcommittee.
Anybody else?
I'd like to say a couple words.
Chair recognizes Councilor Taylor.
So this is one of the things that I have been pushing for with the rest of my colleagues. And I believe that when the governor gives the okay to reopen businesses, there's going to be a lot of economic hardship in the business community. I think that the business probably will not come back straight away, and that we're going to have a lot of people in need, and that businesses that will go under if we don't try to help some of these people survive. And that means more lost jobs, less economic activity and opportunity for anyone. It's not good for anyone. So I thank you for bringing this subcommittee together so we can come up with a plan to help the most people who are in the most dire need as far as their businesses go. And, I think that this is a necessary, just as necessary as all the other steps that we have already taken. So thank you.
Mr. President, if I may speak, Councilor Garcia.
Chair recognizes Councilor Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will be brief. Thank you again for the appointment to the special committee. I look forward to working collaboratively with our colleagues here at Council, but most importantly, to keep in touch with the business owners of the downtown corridor, along with the business owners throughout our city of Chelsea, because they will be able to vocalize best how we can best help them and how we can create a very informative, effective, and strategic way of reopening these businesses. So I look forward to working with all of you. I also look forward to connecting with those key stakeholders in our community, from the Chamber of Commerce, along with the local businesses throughout our city.
Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll call the roll. Councilor Naomi Zabit.
Yes.
Councilor Judith Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Todd Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Giovanni Recupero. Councilor Leo Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Calvin Brown.
Yes.
Councilor Damali Vido. Councilor Melinda Vega. Councilor Yamir Rodriguez.
Yes.
Councilor Roy Avellaneda, yes. Counselor Enyo Lopez.
Yes.
Okay. Measure passes. That concludes all our orders today. Unless the city manager has any announcements, none. So thank you, councilors.
Hold on, Mr.
Oh, sorry,
President.
Councilor Robinson.
If we can go back to the first two communications and accept and file those communications under suspension. We did not do that.
Councilor Robinson asked that we accept and file the the three communications from the Chelsea Anti-Displacement Roundtable, the Community Preservation, and also the city manager. If there's no objection, we'll accept them under suspension.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to request that we have a moment of silence.
Councilor Vido would like to have a moment of silence. You have the floor.
I just want to have a moment of silence for all the lives lost and all of the loss that we are all experiencing as a community, whether it's food insecurity or people that have lost their lives or people struggling.
That concludes this meeting. Thank you all for your participation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everybody.